Hello, Commissioners and community members. I'm Executive Assistant Fire Chief Ron Martin, Project Executive for the Fire Station 31 Headquarters Construction Project. We have a tremendous amount of excitement in our community about this project, and we get a lot of good questions regarding project timelines and time to completion. In this presentation, I'm going to try to explain this process and give you an estimated project timeline. In this discussion today, we're going to discuss the request for qualification process, development orders, facility design process, construction process, factors impacting facility construction, and finally, timelines. So let's get started today talking about the request for qualifications process, or RFQ. The RFQ process is a statutorily mandated requirement which dictates how state, county, and local governments acquire goods, materials, and services over defined spending thresholds. The fire district will be engaging in a two-part RFQ process, which the first part will be to recruit and obtain our site development engineer and architectural services. The second part will be to recruit and obtain a construction manager who will actually construct the new facility. The statutory intent of this process is to prevent favoritism, nepotism, and cronyism. This process is also aimed to inspire competition in our free market economy by forcing service providers to compete. As consumers, we certainly know and understand that when service providers compete, we, the consumer, benefits by being able to obtain higher quality goods, materials, and services for a lower price. A final component of the statutory intent is to provide taxpayers with confidence that their elected fiduciaries and district executives are making large fiscal decisions in an open, ethical, and transparent manner free from personal biases. All of this results in a satisfied constituency who has received a quality product built with quality material from a well-qualified professionals for a reasonable cost. So now that we've discussed the RFQ process, let's talk about the first phase in designing our new Fire Station 31 and headquarters by taking a look at the site development order and permitting process. What is it? Well, it's a legal process that guides development in a given community. Why do we need it? Well, beyond being a requirement of all counties and local communities, it also provides local communities a voice in how and where development occurs. Without this process, development would occur in a very disorganized, haphazard method with no regard to local residents' needs and desires. Another key component, the site development order, also identifies all of the critical infrastructure that will need to be put in place to support the new Fire Station 31 and headquarters facility. Examples of such items are parking evaluations, sewer and water lines, sediment evaluation, power and fiber line placement, and facility access. Who does it? This will be our team of site development engineers consisting of civil engineers and site planners. How long does it take? Somewhere between 6 to 9 months on average. So now that we've talked a little bit about the site development order and permitting, let's get into the facility design process. What is it? Well, with the site development planning process, we're dealing with a concept or a conceptualization of how a building will look on a piece of land. The facility design process takes that conceptualization and starts to give the facility a realistic feel. Why do we need a facility design process? Well, it helps us determine a budget. It prepares construction documents, and finally, it prepares us for permitting. Who does this task? Well, it's our professional architectural team. The facility design process is sometimes the longest part of the process and most frustrating for outsiders because there appears to be no outside movement. However, there is a lot of happenings behind the scene. Benefiting from our community's shared experiences, internal expertise of our staff, and some larger developers who have shared their experiences freely with us, we have learned this is a phase we do not want to rush. It is better to catch issues or problems with a new facility while it's on a drafting table than catching them when the building is being constructed. Catching design flaws or construction issues when the building is being constructed can result in extremely costly change orders. The facility design process consists of 4 phases: programming, schematics, design development, and this phase concludes with the development of construction documents. So let's look at these 4 phases a little more in depth. So let's talk a little bit about the programming phase. During the programming phase, we start to estimate realistic costs. We do an evaluation to determine the building and user needs. We establish a total building area. And finally, we begin to refine our scope of work. In the schematics phase, we begin to design building systems, such as fire protection systems, generators, plumbing and sewer systems, electrical and informational technology infrastructure. We begin to finalize the building site, and we start to evaluate the interior and exterior finishes, or how the building is going to look once it's completed. In the design phase, we make final selections of interior and exterior building materials. We make final determinations on furniture and equipment layout. Any cabinetry and customization is addressed in this phase. We do a final layout of lighting and technology infrastructure. And we begin to finalize mechanical, electrical, and plumbing system layouts. Finally, in the construction document phase, we get our final estimates of construction costs. We ensure that we have compliance with local, state, and federal building safety requirements. We establish our project quality controls, and we do a final verification of the building site suitability. So what's the timeline for facility design for Fire Station 31 headquarters project? How long is it going to take? Well, we anticipate this to be between 12 and 18 months. This is a very important stage in the Fire Station 31 headquarters construction project that cannot be rushed. Errors in design, flow, or function are easy and less costly to correct when the new facility is on the drafting table rather than after construction is started. As we discussed previously, the facility design process is completed with a set of detailed construction documents that are submitted to the Town of Fort Myers Beach Building Department for permit review and issuance. Typically, an initial review of a project of this size can take as long as 60 days. However, this is also conditioned upon what other large-scale projects are going on in our community at the time permits are submitted. With all projects of this magnitude and scope, we should anticipate permit reviewer comments or needed revision. This can take up to an additional 30 days added to the overall permit timeline. Typically speaking, we can reasonably assume permitting of this project to take somewhere between 60 to 90 days. Now we transition into a discussion on the construction process. This is the most exciting phase of this project because we get to see a lot of activity and the building site coming alive with things like site preparation, laying of utilities, foundation works, and landscaping. Interior construction, exterior construction are but a few of the things that we will accomplish and see happening on our new building site for Fire Station 31 and the headquarters facility. So with the construction process, a common question is always, how long will it take? Well, we can anticipate this process to take between 18 months to 22 months, plus allowances for unforeseen variables such as hurricanes, fires, floods, or other disasters. So up to this point, we have talked a lot about the Fire Station 31 and headquarters facility design process, estimated process completion dates, and before we jump in and provide an estimated project completion timeline, let's talk a little bit about project variables. Variables are those items that are unforeseen and outside of the control of the district and its team of professionals that are designing and constructing the new Fire Station 31 and headquarters facility. Common variables are as follows. Need for variances to local code and building requirements. RFQ process challenges. Skilled labor shortages. Disasters such as hurricanes, fires, floods, and pandemics. International trade challenges and embargoes, or other unforeseen legal challenges. So now we've reached a point in our discussion today where we can start building an estimated timeline. We anticipate our RFQ and negotiations to obtain a site development engineer and planner along with a professional architectural team to be completed between March to April of 2021. Our RFQ and negotiations with a construction manager to be completed between June to July of 2021. And our site development to be completed between October 2021 and January of 2022. Let's continue marching right along with our estimated timeline. We anticipate site plan approval from the town of Fort Myers Beach between October 2021 to January 2022, and completing our 4-phase building design between April to October of 2022. With building permits being issued sometimes between December of 2022 and January of 2023. Finally, once all the boring stuff like drawing, permitting, and legal jargon is out of the way, let's talk about the exciting phase constructing the facility and watching it come alive. If our projections hold true and we receive our final building permits in January of 2023, we are off and running. We can expect to see construction begin in mid-January or early February of 2023 with a completion sometimes between July to November of 2024. This will give us a total project completion time of 3 years and 3 months. Again, this estimation is in a perfect world with no variables and everything going as planned. So previously, we took a look at a perfect world scenario with no variables impacting the project completion timeline. However, as any wise tradesperson will tell you, no project is ever perfect. There are always variables. So we looked at historical variables from our community and applied the full span of variables, which extended our completion date to 4 years and 11 months, or May to August of 2025. Now, it is important to note, this portion of this presentation can be best described as the worst case scenario, and the previous slide being the perfect case scenario. Realistically, we believe the total project completion timeline to be somewhere between 3 years and 3 months to 4 years and 11 months. Thank you everyone for your interest in sitting through this presentation. I hope you have found it to be insightful and helpful. A new piece of community infrastructure is always an exciting time, and we appreciate our community's support and anticipation for a new Fire Station 31 and headquarters facility. Should you have any questions or comments that were not specifically addressed in this presentation, please feel free to reach out to our project manager and technical expert, Assistant Fire Chief Scott Worth at sworth@fmbfire.org. Or you can always reach out to me, Executive Assistant Fire Chief Ron Martin, Project Executive at rmartin@fmbfire.org. Thank you once again for your support, excitement, and interest in our community's new Fire Station 31 and headquarters facility. Be safe.